Thank you and good morning, ladies and gentlemen. I'm Dr. Edward Mahoney, the mayor of the city of Cape May, and welcome to the nation's oldest seashore resort and a National Historic Landmark. We're so pleased that so many of our residents, business people, and visitors could come here today to meet our leader. So I just want to mention that in the last 5 years, the city of Cape May has steadfastly planned and implemented a sustainability program that will allow our city to be viable for the next 20 years. And that viability is based on economic growth, having the infrastructure to provide the programs and services that our residents and visitors expect. Also, it's to sustain the environmental pristineness that we are in Cape May able to have. And finally, it's to allow this town to remain affordable, both for the residents, the visitors, and also our merchants to do business. But we wouldn't have been able to accomplish any of that without the proactive leadership and the visionary drive of our governor and lieutenant governor. They have been behind us all the way. They have provided us with the physical, human, and financial resources to implement all the strategies that we needed to get back into a stable and growing environment. And I have to say, as a sure mayor, that during the blizzard of 2010, a Hurricane Irene in 2011, and Hurricane Sandy just 10 short months ago, Governor Christie was not only our leader, he was on the ground with us. And he made certain that all of us along the shore, as well as everyone in New Jersey, had the resources we needed to overcome the daunting challenges we faced. And I often met with Governor Christie and also talked to him by conference call, and he was always only demanding three things: responsibility, productivity, and being truthful. And that's what we've done. So our City Council, Mayor Catherine from West Cape May, the Freeholder Board, we thank you for coming here today. And at this time, it's my sincere personal and professional privilege to introduce to you the great leader of the state of New Jersey, Governor Chris Christie.
Thank you. Thank you very much. And sorry to the folks, I have my back to you. I'm sorry about that. But we'll come down and say hello in a minute. Thank you to... Atta baby. Sounds like my kind of guy over there. First of all, I want to thank all of you for coming out this morning. But more than that, I want to thank you for being in Cape May, New Jersey, one of the most beautiful places in the entire world. Behind me to my left is a guy who's been with me for over 20 years. We were in private law practice together. We worked in the U.S. Attorney's Office together, fighting corruption in the state. He served as my chief counsel and as our state's attorney general and did an amazing job. And now, in the aftermath of Senator Lautenberg's passing, I asked him to go down and for 5 months represent us in the United States Senate, and he's doing a great job representing us, our United States Senator Jeff Chiesa. The mayor, in introducing me, reviewing the list of horribles, blizzards, hurricanes, locusts. It seems to be like everything since I've been governor. I'm like the disaster governor around here. And I remember coming down here to Cape May the first time in February of 2010 after an absolutely brutal blizzard down here and getting to meet with all the folks and understanding that people down here are just like they are all across New Jersey, tough, resilient folks who were dealing with a lot of problems in the aftermath of that blizzard, but were standing up and fighting and just wanting to make sure the state was paying the kind of attention to the southern part of the state that we need to. And the folks on the Freeholder Board, in addition to the local officials, were folks who really have stood up and fought for you here in Cape May, and a number of the freeholders here today. Thank you for being here. They work hard for you, and they do a great job, and they're my friends, and I appreciate the freeholders being here today very much. Now, you know, this summer was a real question mark. You know, when I walked around here in November of last year, you thought to yourself, you really know for the first time in our history, was New Jersey going to have a summer where tourists would come back, where beaches would be ready, where the water would be clean, where our businesses could be open to take care of these folks, from restaurants to shops. And there was a lot of questions about that. And I have to tell you, when I walked around in November, I wondered too whether we were going to be able to get all that work done or not. But down here in Cape May, you all have been extraordinary in the way that this resort has come back. And I've spoken to business folks down here, and while this will not go down as the greatest summer in the history of Cape May, it is a heck of a lot better than we thought it was going to be, and it's because of all of you. So let me say thank you to all of you for what you've done. Now, while we really are concerned, obviously, about getting people back in their homes all over the state, and while we've had some success at doing that so far, we still have a lot of work to do. 365,000 homes were substantially damaged or destroyed during Sandy. Now think about that, 365,000 homes were substantially damaged or destroyed completely during Sandy. None of us thought we'd get all those homes rebuilt in 8 months. Impossible. If we had every builder in America here, we couldn't get it done in 8 months. I've always said that's going to be about a 2-year process to get everybody back in their homes and back where they belong. But what we needed to do, in addition to getting folks back in their homes, was getting businesses up and running again. That's why I called on the Economic Development Authority and its CEO, Michelle Brown, the state's financing arm, to administer nearly $500 million worth of aid directly to businesses. Now, let me tell you about one of my frustrations. And you know I don't hesitate to express my frustrations. Here's one of my frustrations. Businesses, I love it. You know, I can't wait to go home and tell Mary Pat that I actually got cheered for my frustrations. They're really good. I'll be expecting a round of applause at home for that as well. One of the frustrations is that businesses have been so tough and so resilient that they haven't reached out for help. Now, part of the problem is that they initially reached out for help from the Small Business Administration, the federal SBA. Let me just say, awful. Awful to deal with, impossible bureaucracy, inattentive to people's needs, and just an awful group of people to have to work with. And so what happened was, when we come out with our program then from the state EDA, the small people all think AEDA, SBA, it's the same thing. I met a woman yesterday in Wildwood. I said, you should try one of our programs to help your business. And she said, oh, no. I'm not dealing with the SBA again. And I said, no, it's the state EDA. And she goes, yeah, whatever. And I said, no, I'm telling you, there's a program. If you sustained $8,000 of damage or more to your business, there's a program, 2 programs at the state level you can apply to. First one is the Stronger New Jersey Business Grant Program. Any business here that had $8,000 of Sandy-related damage or more can apply for and is eligible to receive a $50,000 grant. Not a loan, a grant, for you to help bridge some of the expenses that you've had in connection with the storm and some of the business that you've lost. On top of that, there's a second program. And the second program, what's it called? It's the new Stronger New Jersey Business Loan Program. Now, that allows anyone who's had those $8,000 in damage to apply for loans up to $5 million. And those loans, you don't have to pay principal or interest back for 2 years. So while we're recovering here, it allows you not to have to take many payments on the loans, and then ultimately, the interest rates on the loans are tied to Treasury bill rates. So still very cheap, low-cost money 2 years from now when you have to start to pay it back. And we haven't gotten the reaction to these programs I thought we would, because I think business people are frustrated. So for business people, small business people who are out in this audience, or if you know some of them, if you call the Economic Development Authority at 1-855-SANDY-BZ, 1-855-SANDY-BZ, they will send someone here to Cape May to help you fill out the forms. They'll walk you through it. If you want to gather a group of business people who want help, they'll put on a seminar about how to do it and then help people with it. And we have not gotten the kind of applications out of Cape May County I thought we would, and so that's why I'm talking about this today in Cape May. It's because Cape May businesses have been so tough and resilient, they say, well, we'll shoulder this burden ourselves. You don't have to. I fought hard to get this $500 million in funding from Washington, D.C., and I want our businesses here in New Jersey to benefit from it. 1-855-SANDY-BZ. Call them today. Leave the audience now. Call them right now. They're waiting for you. They're waiting to come down here and help you and help these businesses. You don't need to suffer in silence, everybody. We're here to help, and just because the summer season is getting ready to get over, this might be the time for you to do it. You're done with the real busy part of your season. You have time to focus on what was the profit and loss statement. What do you need? How can you plan for 2014? Now's the time to get in touch with the EDA if you haven't done it already. So you need to do that. We've got people at our Cape May Atlantic County Disaster Center still open, ready to sit down with you there. I mean, so we've got people all over to make this as easy as possible for you to be able to get the help you need. We don't want any of these businesses anywhere here in Cape May or anywhere up and down the Jersey Shore closing because they couldn't get financing that they could afford or they couldn't get a grant. $8,000 of damage or more, you can qualify for both. And there's no reason for you not to take advantage of it. See, some folks misinterpret our ad campaign, Stronger Than the Storm. Now, I know all of you, when I say those words, you can hear the song in your head, can't you? I've had people all across New Jersey saying, please, please make it stop. Make it stop, Governor. I can't stick that song out of my head. It's only going to keep going for the rest of this week. September 1st, Stronger Than the Storm ads are over. Yeah. But let me tell you what Stronger Than the Storm ads did. 80% of the people in New Jersey said they've seen the ads at least once. At least. And what it's done is let people know, not only here, but we advertised in Canada, we advertised in other states in the Northeast, because you know they all come down here to Cape May and other spots along the Jersey Shore to take vacation and enjoy our places with our family. And it let them know we were open. It let them know these businesses were ready again. And when I've spoken to businesses up and down the shore, even though they can't get the song out of their head, they love the fact that it drew people back here. And they also like the image that it gives our state, because it's true. You know, when you look at what we've been able to do in the last 9 months, it's only because of the strength of our people and the leadership that they've allowed us to provide. And so now we're on the last week of the summer. I can tell that because my kids are starting to get cranky. All right, I left staying up at Island Beach State Park this week at the governor's house there, and when I left this morning, I was talking to Patrick and Bridget, who are 13 and 10, and they had that sad look on their face. School starts 1 week from today for the Christie children. 1 week from today, but it's not all lost at my house. Mary Pat had a huge smile on her face. She's very excited about a week from Wednesday. And we know that we want this last week to be as strong and as great as it can possibly be for these businesses, for the shopkeepers, for the hotels, for the motels, for the rental homes, for all the people down here who help to make most of their living during these months of the summer. So the good news is, I think, except for maybe a little bit of rain today, we're going to have a great rest of the week. Stronger Than the Storm, baby. It's in our day. She's going to start singing it now. Singing that. Look it. That's not so bad as long as I don't start singing it. That's not good. But we want it to be as strong and as successful as possible for all of you. And let me finish with this. And then I take some questions from the press who are here. That'll be entertaining for all of you. Let me say this. You know, before October 29th of last year, I used to tell people all the time that I had the greatest job in the world, that I got to be governor of the state where I was born and raised, and where I dragged my poor wife 27 years ago from Pennsylvania, kicking and screaming against her will to become a Jersey girl, and now she is one, as much as one as anybody, and where we're raising our children. And I used to say I had the greatest job in the world. After October 29th, it changed from a job to a mission. And for those of you here, and I see a vet over here, so he understands it, job is great, but a mission is something very different. Mission is something that's sacred, that you have a moral obligation to complete to the best of your ability. And I know that this job changed to a mission on October 29th, because the state where I was born and raised was damaged badly, and its people were hurt, and a lot of them are still on their knees. And so, believe me, I know I have a mission now, much different than a job. And the promise I'll leave you with today is that there will not be anyone or anything that is going to successfully get in between me and the completion of the mission that this storm laid at our feet. I will not let the people of this region or this country forget what New Jersey is going through, and I will not rest until every one of our 8.8 million people have their lives back to normal and can live happily again in this state. That's my mission. That's the mission this storm gave me. The job you gave me gives me that mission, and I am not going to quit. And believe me, I won't let anything, whether it's politicians in Washington, D.C., or politicians on the ballot this fall, get in between me and the completion of this mission. So thank you all for coming today. I appreciate it very much. Thank you. Thanks to members of the press who have traveled all the way down here to the southernmost part of New Jersey because they just can't go a day without me. They love me so much, they just miss me when I'm not around. So I see a few of them here. This is not going to be a full-scale town hall meeting, unfortunately. I have my banners and all the rest of the stuff. So we'll come back to Cape May like we've done before and do a town hall meeting. But today I just got to take some questions from the press. For the rest of you, I'll be walking around and I'll be here for a while. And if you have individual questions for me, I'm happy to take them that way. So press members who are here, this is your opportunity. Mr. Cruz. So let me just ask this audience: what do you think the chances are that I'm answering David's question? Right? Probably pretty slim, right? Listen, this is the responsibility of the President of the United States, and we have one president at a time. I didn't vote for him either time, but we got one president at a time. And the fact is that I think it's inappropriate for me as a governor to be sitting here and to be speaking about that kind of thing while the president's trying to consider his options and decide what he thinks is in the best interest of the people of this country. So I'll let the president make those calls. Jenna? You want to weigh in on Syria? Sure. It is his job, not mine, so.
We know, in hearing from the Vice President and the President and the intelligence that we're gathering, that these attacks were catastrophic. And the use of chemical weapons is something that many people have spoken out about, Secretary Kerry especially, as inhumane and immoral. So I think it's important that we carefully weigh our options, that we make sure that we send the message that this stuff cannot happen, and that I hope that the President continues to consult with the leaders, people and on my side of the aisle who are experts, John McCain and others, and that we send the message that we can't tolerate having people treated the way these people were treated. I'm sorry, I can't hear you. I think it's something that we have to carefully consider anytime we do that, but it may be in this situation that it's something that has to be done.
All right. Other questions, or is it just Jen and David today? You're the only two I see. David wants to try again. 0 for 1. But that's a good thing about David. He keeps swinging. David, what do you got? Haven't read it, so I can't comment. But what I would tell you is that I think it minimizes what Dr. King did 50 years ago today to just say one thing came out of it. I think much more than any particular piece of legislation, whether it was the Civil Rights Act or the Voting Rights Act, which were passed a year and 2 years after his speech in Washington, much more of what I think he accomplished that day was an awakening of folks all across the country to the idea that equal rights is something that we all need to stand for each other. To me, as I said yesterday, the challenge of today is to try to make sure that no matter where you live in this state or in this country, that you're able to get a great education. That's the great equalizer now for people in this country. We don't have segregated lunch counters anymore. We don't have segregated facilities in public or private across this country any longer. But we do have enormous inequality in our educational system. And here in New Jersey, we have the largest achievement gap of any state in the country between what the highest achieving students achieve and the lowest achieving students. That gap between the two is bigger in New Jersey than any place else. That means we have some extraordinarily great schools in this state, but it also means we have some extraordinarily awful schools in this state. And the people who are attending the great schools should not, in my opinion, sit by and be content that we have children and families in this state who have no hope for the future because their children can't read or write, yet get a diploma from a public school in this state. In Asbury Park, a bit up the road from here, 2 years ago, even though we pay $30,000 per pupil per year for the education in Asbury Park, New Jersey, in the public schools, less than 50% of the graduates of Asbury Park High School could read at an 8th grade level. That's of the people who graduated. So I think that if Dr. King were here today, one of his great areas of focus would be on educational equality, because that's what can bring economic equality and opportunity. And that's what I'm going to continue to try to focus on as governor, is to make sure that each and every one of the kids in this state have a school system that is designed to benefit them, not to benefit and comfort the adults who serve in that school system. And so for us, that's what we need to be focused on. So I appreciate the question, David, and the opportunity to talk about that, because it is a key issue in this campaign, and it's a key issue that we have to deal with as New Jerseyans, because we pay more than any state in America for public education here, $17,700 on average per pupil per year, and yet we're not getting all across the state what these children need to get in order to reach their fullest potential. And I see a lot of parents out here and grandparents, and you, I know, feel all you want in life at the end is good health and a better life for your children and grandchildren than you had. You can't expect them to get that if they're not getting a world-class education. The world is too complicated and too competitive now for anything less. And so when I fight these fights on education, it's not because I'm angry about anything, except thinking about the fact that there are children who are going into a classroom every day and coming out of a failure factory with no way for them to have a successful future. And I speak about this personally because, I was born in Newark, and I lived there till I was 5 years old. And we left during my 5th year because I was getting ready to go to kindergarten. And my mom and dad borrowed money from my 2 grandmothers to buy a house in Livingston because they didn't believe that we could get a good public education in the city of Newark. And I think they were right. And I'm willing to bet you that if I hadn't been the beneficiary of that borrowed $2,000 from my grandmothers and moved to Livingston, I wouldn't be standing here today as governor. And what that leads me to think about is how many children today are in schools in Newark and Patterson and Jersey City, Trenton, Camden, Atlantic City, who have all of the God-given gifts to one day be standing behind a podium like this and be a governor, but won't be, because we don't have the guts or the will to make adults uncomfortable to benefit the future of children. That's immoral to me and unacceptable. And it should be unacceptable to all of you who are paying the bill, by the way. Even if you don't care about the concept, you should care about the waste. I think knowing New Jerseyans, they care about both. And we've got to work together to try to change and fix this system. Throwing more money at it anymore is not going to fix it, everybody. We have to fundamentally change the way these children learn. We have to have longer school days and longer school years. These kids come into school behind. How do we expect them to catch up? How do we expect them to catch up? And the only way we're going to do it is give more time in the classroom, more attention, and craft an education that deals with the challenges they face at home and in their neighborhoods. And if we do that, then we can have a greater state. And if we don't, believe me, we won't. So thanks, David, for the question. And I thank all of you for coming today. I appreciate it. It's a great place. I want to thank the senator for his willingness to go down there, leave his family, and go to Washington for a few months. Remember, this is what people used to do. Used to just go down to Washington for a short period of time, serve their country, then come home.